Welcome to the new Chord Engine 2.0, and this video we're gonna just get into a demonstration and we're gonna have some fun, and I'm gonna just create some chord progressions right here on the spot. I'm gonna show you guys how to use this thing. All right, so this is a very cool tool, man. Very nice production tool to have in the arsenal. This thing helps you get right to the point and right to what you want, especially if you like producing R&B and if you want to do hip hop with more melodic structures in it. And this is it's meant to be fun, not too mental. I know it looks very technical, but it's very simple. All right, so right here on the first entry of the plugin, once you load it up, you have the sound designer or the synth. And what this now allows you to do is blend sounds together and create new interesting textures and really get into some sound design here. So you don't have to sound like anybody else. You don't have to have the same sounds as anybody else. You can create and layer and texture and really get into it. So with that being said, we have 7 major categories here that really have some go-to sounds in it for hip hop, R&B, soul, pop, EDM, and urban centered music. All right. Now this is always going to be expanded. So, these are the stock sounds, but you're going to be able to find a lot of stuff in here with the stock sounds, but we're going to continually expand this thing. We're going to expand the sounds, expand the chords, and the functions and capabilities. So you guys are in for a good ride with this. Now, so what we're going to do, man, I'm just going to go in here and have some fun. I'm going to load up some sounds. I'm going to blend something together, and then we're going to go in and create some chord progressions, man, and have some fun. All right. So I want a sound that has some, let's see, I want some Rhodes. Let's open up that Rhodes, baby. And I want something like maybe a pad up under those Rhodes. All right, let's see. Silky smooth pad. What is that? Now I'm going to activate my second layer just to hear. Well, let me hear what the first one sounds like. I like that. All right. So now let's see how it sounds with this pad in here. I like that. So let's go ahead and let's make a chord progression. I'm not even going to add effects and all that. So I could add effects to each layer. All I have to do is select edit layer, whichever layer I want to edit. And of course, all my effects will pop back to whatever I set it to, as you can see there. All right. Now we have some global effects here, like the replica delay that affects the whole plug-in, as well as the chorus and the phaser and the reverb. Okay. All right. So on to the chord engine here. Now, real quick, before we start making chord progressions, I'm just going to get into some of the new things that you can do with this. Now, as you know, you can have control over each and every note in every chord that you want to program here. So this is a default chord that's programmed on the first key here. Now you have up to 12 keys that you can program a chord on, right? And this represents your MIDI keyboard from C3 to B3. All right, so whichever one you have highlighted, that's the one we're going to be working with. That's the one that's going to load the chords, save the chords. So this is how you select which key that you want to deal with. And these actually are the keys on your MIDI keyboard. So on C3, it'll actually play that chord if I hit C3. If I do C sharp 3 or D flat 3, it's actually going to play whatever I put on there if I press that key. All right. Everything is fully editable. Now, what we now have the ability to do is link all of the properties together so I can change all of the note properties of this entire chord at once. So this really comes in handy when I want to do strums, because now it'll create a nice quick strum for you. Now the higher you go, the slower the strum, the lower you go, the quicker the strum. So now I can just Okay, I can create a strum that quick, and each different note can have its own different strum pattern. Now I can go in and further edit this strum if I want to by turning off my link icon, and I can go in and adjust each note to a different one so it's completely unique and it sounds a little different, you know? So you can get as creative as you want with that. You can go in here and create runs and all kind of stuff with this. You can even do your own kind of like arpeggiations with this if you want it, but that's just the total control that you have over each chord. All right, now the same applies with the velocity. Okay, and the release. All right, so another cool thing we have is the ability to strum down. So if I wanted to strum all my chords down in my sequence, I can just turn that on. Strum up, I turn it off. Strum down, I turn it on. But the cool thing about this is I can choose when I want my chord to strum down or up, which gives me a little bit more freedom in how I want to play my chords. So as you can see, if I click use key trigger here, it's going to highlight this key right here on your keyboard, your contact keyboard. And if you don't see this keyboard, just go up here and make sure your keyboard is checked. All right, now you're going to see this red highlighted key, and this is B0. Okay, so if you don't know what that is, just play the keys until you get down to it. Okay, all right, now it's not going to make any sound once you hit it, but it is going to activate your strum down. All right, so as long as I have this key pressed before I hit my other keys that contain chords, it's going to strum it down. So and that in itself is just a nice feel. Just doing that can really make something sound a little bit more professional, a little bit more profound. All right, so we got that. What else do we have? Now we also have the ability to play chords into the chord engine. Now if you know your chords and you want to noodle around and just save a bunch of chords in the database, you can do that. So I can hit learn MIDI input and it'll play, and it'll also record my chord there. So now guess what? It's going to play that chord when I hit that key. All right, so that's really good too, because we can save the chords and we can put them in the database, and we can save these chords for later so that we don't have to always remember them, and we can just pull them up real quick. And that's for you guys who are professionals and know how to play. And I'm going to tell you something else. If you don't know how to play your chords, and say you know your scales, if you know your scales, you know chords are built on scales. So if you know your scales, you can actually pluck around in the scale and just play different notes in the scale. You might come up with a nice chord. Okay, so that's a good thing. Now if you hit learn MIDI input again, it's going to clear the last thing you had on there. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and clear these last two. Those I could make a song out of that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go and we're going to use the chord browser. Okay, now before we get into that, I'm going to just show you guys what this is. Now the whole premise of this plugin is the ability to find chords based on its melody note or its general tone. So I know I have some of you guys that don't really know your note names, and that may be a hassle if you think about it like that. But in this plugin, it's not going to be, because first of all, it's going to tell you exactly what key you're pressing at all times. Okay, so if you can pluck out a melody, and if you can hear some chords in your head and then hum them out and then get that tone on the keyboard, then guess what? You can find that chord in no time. Or you can find something that sounds good or comparable and that you can then further edit or something better than you was even thinking of. So now, this is always going to be your melody note. So always look here for your melody note. So if you are, say you want a chord, you hear a chord in your head and you're like, man, that would sound dope. It sounds like this. Dun, dun. Okay, that's a melody. So find that on your keyboard. Okay, and it's going to tell you I'm pressing D sharp and D. Okay, so those are the melody notes that I'm after when I'm searching for my chords. All right, so now let's go ahead and create a chord progression using the chord browser. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we have our chord mode activated by simply selecting one of the MIDI keys that we can program a chord on. Now if I have all of these off, it's just going to play as a regular instrument. All right, so now first we do that, and then next we will select the scale or the key of our song. Now this is good if you know that. If you know the scale or the key of the song, that's good. It's probably going to get you there a lot faster. But if you don't know that, it's not going to hinder you finding the chords that you want, because what we're after is the melody note. And we're not going to trap you guys in a box with music theory and stuff and have you thinking too much when you're making music. This is all by ear and all by feel. All right. So thirdly, we're going to select the melody note or the tone of our chord. So to get started, we just go ahead and click that, and you'll see a blank slate, and then we'll select the key of our song. I am going to work in let's say we're going to do an F scale, okay? Now this is F minor, but okay, let's do F major. Turn that off. That's why I wasn't playing right. Okay, now let's find a melody in the F scale. All right, so for the sake of time and the sake of this tutorial, that's probably not the best melody, but hey, let's start with that. So look, A is my first note, C is my second note, G, then D. So let's see what we can find on the note of A. All right, so I select melody note, and then it'll pull up all of the melody notes that are in the F scale. Now we do use the chromatic scale so that you don't have to worry about, if this is an Aeolian scale or a Lydian scale or whatever, it's going to include all of the notes in the F scale, period. So just count all of those, thousands of scales in these 12 notes, okay? So let's see what the first one has to offer. So we're just going to double click on that, and then what we can do is simply just browse the chords by hitting next chord. You can go back to the last one, and as you see, the interface will update with that chord, giving you the exact playing position, the voicing, and whatnot. So you can then further edit these and do your own thing. All right, so let's see what this first chord sounds like. I'm gonna take the strum out so I can hear it. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see if we get a different tone. And so in here we have all different kind of tones that you can play on this A. Now it's going to be a lot of different situations that you have that this A might work in different circumstances. So you might want different tones. You're not going to have the same chord every time. You want different textures, and you got advanced chords, you got simple chords, and this is going to be continually expanded. We're going to have some special preset packs. Uh, we got a lot in store for you guys. So as I say, we can just go ahead and browse through this. Simple old A minor will work, or this first one, because I'm looking for the exact tone. Now you also have chords in here that are appropriate just theoretically. You know, theoretically they're appropriate to play on this tone. And sometimes they might not sound exactly like the tone, but it's just certain situations it will sound right. So you are just looking for what you want in this situation. Every time it's different. So in this case, I could use that simple A minor. I like sevens, so I'm gonna use this A7. Now, there's all different kind of textures in here. I can probably find something more unique, more special, but just for the sake of the first chord, I'm gonna make it simple. All right, what was our next melody note? So what was that? So it's C. And as you can see, I can easily just turn off chord mode to find what tone I'm looking for, all right? And turn it back on. Just make sure one of them is selected, especially the one that you want selected before you load the chord in. If nothing is selected, nothing will happen. And if you have it selected on the previous chord, it's going to load in over that. So keep that in mind. Okay, that's not the tone. Possibly. Okay, that's a little bit more than I want, so I'm gonna go with that one. Okay, so this is gonna take on a little bit more character than I thought with this melody. So my next note is G. All right, so let's find the G melody note. Now, if I don't find what I like in this scale, I can also go into any other scale that contains a G in the scale. All right, and they're all different kind of tones in that based on that scale. So you might be in one scale and find the perfect chord in another scale, honestly. And that's how music is sometimes. You don't want to hang your hat on music theory too much because you could go crazy. But what you want to do is just keep your mind open to it. Use it as a guide. You see? All right, so G, let's find some chords that sound like G. Okay, let's look. See that chord will work in a different situation. I could actually put this in the chord progression a little later, and I can hear that being that little dissonance that we need. But right now I'm just gonna go simple. Okay, that's a little bit more churchy, jazzy. Let's see what else. Nope. So that one works. That one works. I want it to be a stronger, I want it to be more, I want it to cater more to my tone, this G tone. It's there, but it's there. But let's see if we can get a stronger one. Okay. No, that's not it. And as you can see, I could go in a lot of different directions. None of this is wrong. I could use this, and my next chord will easily turn it around. Let's see. I want to find what I want. Okay, I like that better. All right. So, last note in the melody. All right. Let's find that. So we're on C. So I'm gonna go to my next slot. Let's find the C. Now, this is, it sounds happy because this is F major. We're doing F major, and it's just a basic melody. But as you can see, you can find the tones that you want based on the melody. And so if you're in, like, say you got a sample or something, this really comes in handy if you hear some chords over top of like a sampler or something that you got that you didn't actually create and you want to add to. This is going to be very quick to do that and find really dope chords for it. So this last chord, I don't know if I'm completely satisfied with it, but I can go up to 12 chords. It doesn't matter. That works. So I'm gonna use that one and something else. Let's go to the next one and see what we got. Now you can start adding variations. You know, you don't have to play the same 4 chords over and over. You can variate that thing and sound really good. Okay, and I can go on and on and on, create a change. I can create, you know, even more, just depending on what I want. Now I say, okay, look, what if I wanted to go even further? Then what do you feel? What do you feel after this chord? You can go anywhere you want. Whatever your mind thinks, you can hum that chord out, find the melody, and find the chord. Okay, so that's how this works. Now, another cool thing that we can do. Now, let me go ahead and add some different strums to this and spice it up. Okay, so I can find the right timing. I can actually do this and play this a little differently. Okay, I think 18 is it. Now I'm gonna take the first note, right, in this chord, and I'm gonna make sure that it hits a little sooner. So you see the power, you see the potential and what you can do with this. Now, on top of that, if I choose to use the key trigger, right, I can strum it down as I choose, depending on which chord I want to strum down. And then also I can use the transpose, and I can transpose in any variation based on half note, in combination with the octave, just the half note, whichever one I want to do. And then I can use the key switch for that, and choose which chords I want to transpose, so that you can again begin to incorporate some common playing styles among keyboardists. So look, I'm gonna go ahead and use an octave up. Okay, so look. And I can use the key switches in conjunction. So always remember, just check down here for where your key switch is. You might need to move your octave on your MIDI keyboard up and down just so that you can hit both at the same time. But just remember that these will highlight when you choose to use the key switch. All right, so okay, so you get the point. Now, if I wanted to go on to the arpeggiator and repeat these chords, say I'm doing some kind of EDM or pop or something like that, I can do that. Just make sure that you're using all chord. But now if I wanted to, I have all of these different note order styles for my my ARP. And this here is basically a step sequencer. All right. Now, if I turn this down, it's just going to play at a half velocity. If I turn it all the way down, it's going to play nothing. It's not going to play anything. So you can create a different pattern. So just if you are familiar with FL Studio or any kind of step sequencer, that's what this is. Except it also gives you the velocity. So if you wanted to just, play something in a different velocity and have some different rhythms going on, you could do that. Or you could just completely use it as a step sequencer and say, hey, I want to play this one. I don't want to play that step. I want to play this one, or, whatever. And then you can increase the steps here up to 32 and down to just 2 steps if you want. The default is 16. Okay, so that's what that is. You turn the ARP on and off. You can turn on the ARP hold. These different modes you can play around with. Of course, we have the rate, how fast it's going to move, the different rates here. And then you have your duration, which means how long the notes are held. And then you have swing. And then this is going to tell you, this is going to indicate how long it's going to repeat on each note, how long each note repeats. So if you want it to repeat 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, whatever. Then you have the octave, so it'll go up or down in the arpeggiation of that. This has some really good sounds. So okay, now I can get in here and okay, so you can really get into creating the type of melody that you want, or some kind of rhythm to accompany your chords. Okay. Usually I like to do it, okay, so you just think about, you know what I'm saying? You can put like little pauses in the arpeggiation. Like that, okay? And last but not least, we have the ability to record anything in this machine, whether it be an arp, a chord, or if you're just playing yourself, you can record that to MIDI, all right? And it's going to record it exactly the way you played it. So if you want to quantize it, just make sure you turn your metronome on, or you can play it into your DAW and then quantize it there. And then you'll just hit record here before you hit play. So just to demonstrate that real quick, say if I wanted to record into my DAW this take right here, I'm gonna turn off my arpeggiator. Check me out. All right. All right. So obviously that's not quantized to anything, but I do have my chords that I can just simply just drag and drop onto anything. It doesn't have to even be a VST, but just the channel. I can also drag it and drop it onto my directly to my desktop if I give it a name first. All right. So, but I just want to show you, you know, everything was recorded as it should be. All right. So now let me go ahead and give you a demonstration of how it is when you actually record it in and you want it to be quantized. All right. So I got two options. I can just turn my metronome on. You know, adjust the speed to whatever you want. And I'll just hit this. All right. So now that's quantized exactly to my metronome and exactly how I played it. Now if I wanted to drag and drop that here, now you'll see it. It's actually quantized. All right. It's played exactly how I played it. All right. So I did hit that a little early or whatnot. But that's the beauty in it. You definitely you don't want it to be so perfect all the time. If you do want it to be perfect, all you have to do is hit quantize in here and you have perfect quantized notes. But another way to do it is to simply record it into the DAW. So for you FL Studio users, I'm gonna create a pattern. And I'm gonna just record into this. Okay, so my last chord, right? This needs to be slower. So we're gonna so do you see how it had that delay in the first before the chord hit? In order to take that delay out, because a little natural delay is added so that it doesn't sound too generic. But when you go way up sometimes with the strum, it gives you too much space in the beginning of the chord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck this link icon, and then I'm going to just adjust my first note in the chord here down to something closer so that it doesn't give me that delay. And I'm going to find the timing that works. So that's it right there. Okay, so now what I could do to demonstrate what I meant by quantizing it in your DAW first. So now these are just single notes that were recorded in out of contact. But when I record my MIDI, it'll be, you know, the actual chords. So now I can just sit here and I can quantize this right here real quick. Quantize. Boom. That's not even the way I wanted it quantized though. You know, so. Okay, so this one has a little bit of space in it. I'm gonna make it a little bit. I'm gonna make it come a little bit sooner. Okay. Okay. Bring that a little bit in now. So now that, you know, once you have it quantized the perfect way you want it, all you got to do is go to your record to MIDI function and just know that, you know, it's going to record over your last take every time you hit record. So just keep that in mind. And what we do is hit record here and then just hit play. Okay, so I only wanted those 4 bars. Now I could record it for 8, 16, 24 bars, whatever. Okay, so once I have that, all I got to do is load up another VST or whatever. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to drag it right here. And there it is. Everything is right on time here. Okay, and it's going to play exactly the same way. But you have your chords, all right? So that's how that works. And feel free to send us any questions that you have about the plugin, any requests that you want to see in the plugin. Like I said, we're going to be expanding this. Now, you also have the ability to save chords. Okay, so whichever chord is selected, you can hit save and it'll save that chord. And then you can load that chord back onto any one of these slots that you want. Okay, just give it a name. Just give it a name, any kind of name that you want. You can save it anywhere that you want in your on your computer. Okay, and once you save that, you can then load that chord. And as long as it's in the Chord Engine Genesis format, you can load it in, and it'll play it. All right, it'll load on top of the key, whichever key that you have selected. All right. Now you can share your saved chords. You can sell your presets for the Chord Engine Genesis, so long as they are not, you know, our presets. You can sell your own presets that are your own creations without a problem. You won't have a problem from us about that. All right. So with that, I'll have tutorials coming up that, you know, we're making beats with it and showing you guys, and we're getting in and doing some different tips and tricks with it. All right. So just stay posted. All right. Peace.